Welcome back to Webslesson. In the previous video, we installed Laravel 13 and Filament 5 and got our admin panel running. Now it's time to start building our real project. In this video, we are going to design the complete database for our inventory management system. This is one of the most important steps in the entire series. If your database structure is correct from the start, everything we build after this becomes much easier. So let's take a few minutes to understand what tables we need and how they connect to each other. Every inventory system needs a few core pieces. We need to know what products we are selling. We need to know who we are buying products from. These are our suppliers. We need to know who we are selling products to. These are our customers. We need to know where our stock is kept. These are our warehouse. And we need to track every purchase we make and every sale we complete. Let's go through each table one by one. First, we have the categories table. This stores product categories like electronics, groceries, or clothing. Each category can also have a parent category, so we can create subcategories if needed. Next, we have the units table. This stores measuring units like pieces, kilograms, or boxes. Every product will belong to one unit. Next, we have the suppliers table. This stores the details of the people or companies we purchase stock from. Next, we have the customers table. This stores the details of the people we sell our products to. Next, we have the warehouse table. This represents physical locations where our stock is stored. A business can have one warehouse or many warehouses, and our system will support both. Now comes the products table. This is the heart of our system. Every product has a name, a unique code called SKU, a category, a unit, a cost price, and a selling price. Next, we have the purchases table and the purchase items table. The purchases table stores the overall purchase order, like which supplier, which warehouse, and the total amount. The purchase items table stores each individual product inside that purchase order. This is because one purchase can include many different products at once. The same pattern applies to sales. We have a sales table for the overall sale record and a sale items table for each product inside that sale. Next, we have the stocks table. This table keeps track of how much quantity of each product is available in each warehouse. Every time we make a purchase, the stock quantity goes up. Every time we make a sale, the stock quantity goes down. And finally, we have the stock adjustments table. This is used when we need to manually add or remove stock, for example, due to damage, loss, or a correction. Now that we understand the structure, let's start creating our migration files. We will create these migrations in a specific order because some tables depend on other tables through foreign keys. Let's open our terminal and begin. First, we create the categories migration. Inside this migration, we define the name, the slug, and a parent ID field, which links back to the same table for subcategories. Next, we create the units migration with a name and a short code field. Next, we create the suppliers migration with name, email, phone, and address fields. Next, we create the customers migration using the same structure as suppliers. Next, we create the warehouse migration with a name and a location field. Now we create the products migration. This table connects to categories and units using foreign keys. It also stores the cost price, the selling price, and an image field for the product photo. Next, we create the purchases migration, which connects to suppliers and warehouse. Then we create the purchase items migration, which connects to purchases and products. Next, we create the sales migration, which connects to customers and warehouse. Then we create the sale items migration, which connects to sales and products. Now we create the stocks migration. This connects to products and warehouse and stores the current quantity. And finally, we create the stock adjustments migration, which also connects to products and warehouse. Once all our migration files are ready, we run the migrate command. This will create all of our tables inside the database. Let's open our database tool and confirm that every table has been created correctly. As you can see, all 12 tables are now ready. Now let's move to the next step, creating our Eloquent models. For every table, we will create a matching model, and inside each model, we will define its relationships. We will also set the fillable fields, so mass assignment works correctly when we save data from Filament forms. And wherever needed, we will add casts, so fields like status and price are automatically converted to the correct data type. Let's go through each model one by one. First, we create the category model. Inside this model, we set name, slug, parent ID, and status as fillable fields. We cast the status field to Boolean, so it behaves as true or false instead of 0 or 1. A category belongs to a parent category, so we define a parent relationship using belongsTo. A category can also have many child categories, so we define a children relationship using hasMany. And a category has many products, so we define a products relationship as well. This parent and children relationship is what allows us to build unlimited subcategories later. Next, we create the unit model. Here, we set name and short code as fillable fields. A unit has many products, so we define a products relationship here too. This is a simple model, but every product will depend on it. Next, we create the supplier model. We set name, email, phone, address, and status as fillable fields and cast status to Boolean. A supplier has many purchases, so we define a purchases relationship. This relationship will let us see the full purchase history of a supplier directly from the supplier record. Next, we create the customer model. This model follows the exact same structure as the supplier model. We set name, email, phone, address, and status as fillable and cast status to Boolean. A customer has many sales, so we define a sales relationship. This will let us track how much a customer has purchased from us over time. Next, we create the warehouse model. We set name, location, and status as fillable fields. A warehouse has many stocks, many purchases, and many sales, so we define all three relationships. This is important because our system supports multiple warehouse, and every stock, purchase, and sale is tied to a specific warehouse. Now we create the product model. This is the most important model in our entire system. We set name, slug, SKU, category ID, unit ID, cost price, selling price, image, description, and status as fillable fields. We also add casts for status as Boolean and for cost price and selling price as decimal, so they always store to decimal places correctly. A product belongs to a category and belongs to a unit. A product also has many stocks, many purchase items, many sale items, and many stock adjustments. This makes the product model connect to almost every other part of our system. We will also add a small helper method here to calculate the total stock of a product across all warehouse combined. Next, we create the purchase model. We set supplier ID, warehouse ID, invoice number, purchase date, total amount, paid amount, due amount, and status as fillable fields. We cast purchase date as a date and the amount fields as decimal. A purchase belongs to a supplier and belongs to a warehouse. A purchase also has many purchase items, so we define an items relationship. This items relationship is what lets us list every product inside a single purchase order. Next, we create the purchase item model. We set purchase ID, product ID, quantity, unit cost, and subtotal as fillable fields. A purchase item belongs to a purchase and belongs to a product. This model is what actually connects a purchase order to real products and real quantities. Next, we create the sale model. This follows the same pattern as the purchase model. We set customer ID, warehouse ID, invoice number, sale date, total amount, paid amount, due amount, and status as fillable fields. A sale belongs to a customer and belongs to a warehouse. A sale also has many sale items, so we define an items relationship, just like we did for purchases. Next, we create the sale item model. We set sale ID, product ID, quantity, unit price, and subtotal as fillable fields. A sale item belongs to a sale and belongs to a product. This is the model that will reduce our stock every time a sale is completed. Next, we create the stock model. We set product ID, warehouse ID, and quantity as fillable fields. A stock record belongs to a product and belongs to a warehouse. This single table is what tells us exactly how much of each product is available in each warehouse at any given moment. And finally, we create the stock adjustment model. We set product ID, warehouse ID, type, quantity, reason, and adjusted by as fillable fields. A stock adjustment belongs to a product, belongs to a warehouse, and belongs to the user who made the adjustment. This model gives us a complete history of every manual stock change, along with the reason behind it. With all of these models and relationships in place, our data layer is now fully connected. Every table can now talk to every other related table, using simple and readable Eloquent relationships. This completes our database design for the inventory management system. In the next video, we will set up our Filament admin panel. We will add a custom logo, change the panel colors, and organize our sidebar into proper navigation groups. This will give our project a clean and professional look before we start building our actual features. If you found this video helpful, please like this video and subscribe to Webslesson for the next part. I will see you in the next video.